Maya had worked at Astor & Vale for 3 years. She was known for her precision, her calm under pressure, and the quiet way she commanded respect without needing to raise her voice. She wasn't loud, she wasn't flashy, and she certainly didn't indulge in office gossip. Especially not about Daniel Astor, the company's CEO. Tall, sharp in both looks and intellect, and largely an enigma, Daniel was the kind of leader who rarely smiled in the hallway, but was never anything less than polite. His office sat in the northwest corner of the 22nd floor, all glass walls and quiet authority, a kind of distant throne room where decisions that moved markets were made. Maya saw him mostly from afar, the occasional meeting, a formal greeting, at company events, and in the pages of financial magazines left in the break room. For the first 2 years, he was little more than a name on top of the email chain, until a reorganization landed her as the executive projects coordinator, reporting indirectly to him. Her new role meant more late nights, more direct communication, and more moments where their paths crossed not by chance, but by necessity. The first time they actually spoke beyond a briefing was on a Tuesday at 8:47 p.m. She was finalizing slides for the quarterly strategy review, frustrated with the inconsistencies in the data feed. He walked past her desk on the way out, paused, and asked, "Need a second pair of eyes?" She turned, surprised. "Honestly, I just need the database not to crash every time I pull a regional breakdown." He smiled faintly. The joys of corporate infrastructure. She smiled back, and something subtle passed between them. Acknowledgement, not flirtation. That week turned into more late nights. He started showing up just after most of the office emptied. It became a rhythm. 2 people caught in the quiet after the chaos. Sometimes they worked in silence. Sometimes they shared stories, softly at first, cautious. She learned he drank his coffee black, but added honey to his tea. He learned she played the cello until college, and still owned one she never touched. One night, a month later, he brought her a sandwich without asking. "You forget lunch when you're focused," he said, placing it gently beside her laptop. She blinked. "You notice that?" He shrugged. "I notice a lot of things." That was the first time the silence between them changed. There was something there now, something neither of them named. Still, they kept their distance. They had to. He was the CEO. She was ambitious, but ethical. Their work relationship stayed professional, though something deeper simmered quietly beneath the surface. Weeks passed. A snowstorm hit the city in February, locking down most of the staff before 3 p.m. But she stayed, as did he. "You'll get stuck," she warned when she passed his office. "So will you," he replied, not looking up from his screen. The power flickered around 6. By 7, it was dark and quiet, the storm battering the windows like something wild. She knocked on his glass door. "Want company, or are you communing with spreadsheets?" He chuckled. "I could use a break." They shared tea, sitting on the couch in the corner of his office, listening to the wind. That night, they didn't talk about work. They talked about everything else. She learned he'd lost his mother young. He learned she'd once considered becoming a teacher. The storm gave them a bubble outside of time. No structure, no roles, just 2 people discovering each other. When she finally stood to leave, he walked her to the elevator, and for the first time, touched her arm. Not by accident, not platonically. A light brush lingering just long enough. They didn't speak about it the next day nor the next week. But the boundary had moved. Slowly, carefully, they grew closer. She stayed later. He found reasons to check in. A joke, a question, a shared glance during meetings. People started to notice, though no one said anything. Maya became more self-conscious. She started doubting herself, her professionalism, her judgment. Was she compromising everything she'd worked for? He must have sensed it. One night, he called her into his office. "We need to talk," he said. Her chest tightened. "About what?" "About this." He motioned between them. "Whatever this is, I need to know where you stand, and I need to be honest about where I stand." She didn't sit. She just looked at him, cautious. He continued, "I don't want to pretend this isn't happening, but I also don't want to put you in a position you didn't choose." She met his eyes. "I didn't choose this, Daniel. It just happened." "Exactly. And now we choose what to do about it." He stood then, walked around his desk, and stood close enough she could see the tired lines at the corners of his eyes. "If this goes forward, it has to be honest, transparent. No secrets, no games. I'm not asking for anything casual. I'm asking for something real." Maya's heart pounded. "People will talk. They already are. They'll assume you're not. And anyone who knows you won't believe it." She looked away. "And if it doesn't work?" He paused. "Then I'll make sure you don't pay the price for it." That was the turning point. She left his office that night without kissing him, without even touching him, but with her world irreversibly changed. Over the next few days, she thought long and hard. She spoke to no one. She made a list of risks, outcomes, worst-case scenarios. She weighed ethics against emotion, policy against possibility. And in the end, it wasn't logic that made the decision. It was the way he looked at her, not with possession, but respect. It was how she felt when he spoke to her, not diminished, but amplified. So she walked into his office the following Monday and said, "If we do this, the glass doors stay open." He nodded once. "Always." They informed HR the next day. It was awkward. Policies had to be reviewed. She was transferred to another department to eliminate direct reporting lines. Whispers spread quickly, but they held their heads high. And once the buzz died down, they were just Maya and Daniel. Not the CEO and the assistant, not a scandal, not a secret. Just two people who had found something honest in the most unexpected place. Their relationship wasn't perfect. They fought. Sometimes. She hated how much he traveled. He struggled with how guarded she could be. But through every storm, they stayed grounded in what they had built. Something based on choice, on truth, and on trust. A year later, she stood on the same 22nd floor, now as director of strategy, and looked into his office from the hallway. He was on the phone, pacing. He caught her eye, smiled, and mouthed, "Dinner?" She nodded. It was simple now, not easy, but real. And in a world of glass doors and sharp suits, that was everything.